Culver converts again.
Outside to Corbell. Pull up 20-footer. Goal! Bounce pass to Duffy, left hand.
Good evening, Rams, and happy almost Election Day. I'm Carly Schwarzkopf.
And I'm Olivia Landis, bringing the latest in CTV sports.
History was made this past weekend as the Colorado State Rams football team shut out the Fresno State Bulldogs 37-0. This marks the first shutout for the Rams since 1997 against Hawaii. The Rams now improved to 5-4 on the season and 3-2 in the Mountain West. Junior quarterback Nick Stevens played like a pro this weekend, completing 18 of 23 passes for 237 yards and 2 touchdowns. Stevens has now completed 60 passes on 90 attempts with 6 touchdowns since his last thrown interception. Colorado State's three-headed rushing monster was ready this past Saturday with Marvin Kinsey Jr., Izzy Matthews, and Dalen Dawkins rushing for 83 yards, 55 yards, and 35 yards. Matthews rushed for 2 touchdowns, marking his 6th and 7th rushing touchdowns in the last 4 games, where Kinsley tackled on the 5th rushing touchdown of his true freshman season. Aside from a strong run game, CSU's wide receiver Michael Gallup recorded a career-high 9 receptions for 126 yards, as well as tackling on a touchdown. Colorado State's defense was a powerhouse and has now posted 6 shutout halves on the season. Fresno State's 232 yards of total offense is the fewest the Rams have allowed in a game this season. Jamal Hicks logged 5 tackles, including his first career tackle for a loss, and Patrick Elzenblast made a career best, tying 6 tackles against Fresno State. The Colorado State Rams will look to earn bowl eligibility for the 4th consecutive season next week as they face the Air Force Falcons. Kickoff is set at 8:15 p.m. Olivia, this CSU team played amazing this past weekend. It was their first shutout since 1997. They played great as a team offensively and defensively. It's the first game I think CSU has really played well together.
Yeah, and I think you have to give a lot of that credit to quarterback Nick Stevens. He's kept his composure so well, since taking over that starting quarterback position. And Coach Mike Bobo said it in the press conference today, just how very proud he is of Nick and how he's really led this team so far. Yeah, definitely. And we've said all season, CSU's offense is either run or pass game. This past weekend, I think they really connected both of that. We had an awesome run game, but we also had a great pass game, too, with Michael Gallup. He's really a talented player. But I think there's a lot to talk about freshman Marvin Kinsey Jr. He is going to be an awesome player. Yeah, there are, like you mentioned in your reader, just, our 3 running backs that have had so much success so far in the season. But Michael Gallup, a lot of people have talked about how he is similar to Rashard Higgins, in the way that he plays, and he is a transfer. He's transferred here to CSU, and the fact that he's already brought and showed so much talent to this offensive team, to the offensive side of this team, there's a lot to look forward to. Yeah, and offensive side. This Air Force game coming up is going to be a huge test for Colorado State and for the Air Force Falcons as well. Both these teams want to have bowl eligibility, and Air Force is a really strong team. This is going to be a big test for CSU, especially defensively. It's going to be a defensive battle. Yeah, it's definitely going to be a tough game. And, just looking a little bit at Colorado State's defense, Kevin Davis, the face of Colorado State's defense, averaging 9 tackles per game. This is where Colorado State's defense is really going to be crucial coming into this game against Air Force. They're a super tough team. Coach Bobo has said it. They're some of the fastest, the strongest. We're going to have to see the best of Colorado State this coming weekend. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Well, Coach Bobo was very proud of his team. However, he's looking forward to this weekend's game against Air Force.
To play for 60 minutes and keep them out of the end zone was something that those guys were proud of, and they were trying to get that shutout as the game progressed to the end of the game, and they got down the red zone area. It was good to see us get the stop and celebrate that shutout. We enjoyed the victory, but we're on to Air Force, big rival for us here, in-state school. We haven't won in Colorado Springs since 2002, I believe. I know it's a tough place to play. They're a tough football team. It's disciplined. They do the right things. You've got to go there and you've got to earn the victory and beat them. They're not going to give you the game. So we've got a tough challenge. Coach Calhoun does a great job, been doing a great job for a number of years. They're bowl eligible again. I think he's made a bowl game every year but one since he's been there, or maybe every year, but does an outstanding job. Big challenge for our football team this week.
The Colorado State volleyball team gave Saturday night's Moby crowd quite the show after a thrilling 5-set victory over the New Mexico Lobos in Moby Arena. The Rams, who are now 11-2 in the Mountain West, moved to a tie for first place in the conference with Boise State. The Lobos took off to a tremendous start, entering intermission with a 2-0 lead, looking to snag the win from the Rams for the first time since 2012. However, freshman Paulina Jensen entered the third set and put an immediate stop to that idea after totaling 8 blocks across sets 3 and 4, leading the team in that category. CSU had a season-high 22 blocks as a team, thanks to the contribution of Jensen. After taking set 3, set 4 came with a battle as the Lobos were not ready to give up. They came within 4 points of winning when up 21-20 on the Rams, but Jasmine Hanna had a solo block that gave the Rams the push they needed for the victory. Colorado State ended up on top, winning 3-2 against New Mexico. Up next, the Rams head back to California for the third time this season to take on San Diego State this Thursday. Carly, Coach Hilbert has said it time and time again. This team is so tough, and they handle every game extremely differently. And the fact that this New Mexico team was so tough and they played them in 5 sets speaks a lot. Since they were second in the Mountain West and now they're tied back with Boise State for first, they're going to have to start competing because this Mountain West Conference is a lot more competitive than we've seen in the past.
Yeah, this past game against New Mexico was a really good test for Colorado State. A lot of their sets don't go into 5 sets, so this was a big test for them. Tying back for first place, that's a great confidence booster for them going into this weekend.
Yeah, and the fact that they are a little bit younger this year than they've seen in the past few years, I think that this has also been a test to, these freshmen and how their abilities to step up and the solo senior, Cassidy Denny. So I think that they're doing well so far with the youth that they have on this team.
Yeah, they're a young team, but they're also a really talented team as they are tied for first place again. It just seems like no matter what age they are, these Colorado State volleyball girls are always good.
Well, Coach Hilbert was happy to see his team bounce back and snag a win against Utah State this past weekend.
Colorado State University takes pride in its student athletes both athletically and academically. Last Sunday, nearly 80 CSU student athletes participated in Declare Your Major Day, a time to recognize, celebrate academic accomplishments and career ambitions. Women's volleyball player Kirsty Hillier said, quote, "I've been undeclared for the last 2 years, so this is actually a major step toward going further in my education," end quote. While Rollin Slays from the men's track and field team said, quote, "An event like this is important. It's like National Signing Day for athletes since it's a big landmark in the process of becoming a professional we all aim to be in the end," end quote. After its inauguration in 2015, this unique event has been introduced at other universities as CSU strives to educate, engage, and excel in both the classroom and on the field.
Well, it's now time for a short break, but when we return, we have a unique story on 2 special CSU swimmers.
Tune into KCSU, your student-run radio station at Colorado State University. Live 24 hours a day, every day at 90.5 FM and kcsufm.com. Live local new music now, and news, talk, and sports. KCSU, the radio voice of Colorado State, on the air since 1964.
You're watching CTV, produced by Colorado State University students, bringing you news, weather, sports, and entertainment from campus and beyond. CTV live Monday through Thursday at 7 p.m. on campus and Fort Collins on Channel 11. Repeats at midnight, 8 a.m., noon, and 2 p.m.
The Rocky Mountain Collegian is your student-run news and information platform. Pick up your paper on campus or around Fort Collins Monday through Thursday with special editions Fridays. And check out collegian.com anytime for all the latest updates. News, sports, entertainment, opinion, and more. The Rocky Mountain Collegian, serving Colorado State since 1891.
College Avenue has been your student magazine for the last 10 years. College Avenue prints once a month covering topics that are relevant to the CSU and Fort Collins community. We also print special editions like the graduation guides at the end of each semester, the best of CSU each fall, and the orientation guide each summer. Look for us on racks around campus, off campus, or online at collegian.com under the College Avenue tab.
Although the 2016 Rio Summer Olympics have passed, this summer 2 Colorado State women's swimming and diving team members were able to experience the Olympic trials. For most of the women's swimming and diving team at Colorado State, this past summer marked a break from school and the usual training. But for swimmers Haley Rowley and Katie Kicklighter, this summer meant participating in the 2016 Olympic trials.
Getting the cut, I remember looking at the scoreboard and being like, what? Just in shock. And so going for me was more of just I'm gonna go and have fun and just kind of take it all in. But it was incredible to watch people just compete at that high level. And it's something that a lot of people don't get to do, so I'm really blessed to have been able to do that.
Being at trials was, you kind of get there and you have to play it cool. These people are amazing world-class athletes. There's Olympians there. You're gonna be in the same lane as them. And it's just about respect. They're people too. They're not just, sure, they're everyone's idols, but they're people. And they expect the same of you. Treat them with respect, they'll treat you with respect.
Although the experience left good impressions on both Katie and Haley, there were other individuals that were just as excited about their participation in the Olympic trials.
Knowing that they're there surrounded by thousands of people, people like Michael Phelps warming up in the lane next to him, just little triggers like that, it adds up. Their whole family's there to watch them. So I feel for them knowing how stressed they are, but I'm excited to know that they're gonna have something, they're gonna have a memory that not a lot of girls get to experience.
With competition being fierce, both swimmers experienced the tough training and emotional impact leading up to the trials.
Some days would be off, I'd come in, but Mac and Woody would kind of help me through it. You should do this for you. It's gonna be a great experience and everything. So leading up to it, it was really hard, but once I was there, I was so happy that I put in the work and I did what I needed to do, so I showed up and I was prepared.
You're so nervous when you get there, and again, you're kind of wide-eyed, and you're just looking around at all these people that you've looked up to for so long, and you're I'm here, and I'm actually gonna swim against them. So I think from that, you kind of learn to take a breath and just relax, and kind of not take things so seriously, because it's really about just being the best that you can be at that point.
At the end of the day, the only thing that matters is the shared passion for swimming.
They might not be swimming again next time trials comes around. That might have been, that might be the only time they go. So, it's up to us to make their college experience just as exciting for them.
It just opened a lot of doors for me, and I've just met so many great people through the sport. So I think that swimming has just been a great part of my life.
And it's a huge part of my life. I don't think I'd be the person I was without it, and I think even after I graduate college, I'd still be doing it because it's just a part of who I am.
For CTV Sports, Olivia Landis.
Carly, it was truly awesome to see, two CSU athletes that were able to make the Olympic trials. And, we don't see that very often.
Yeah, that's really impressive, and what an amazing experience for those swimmers. They swim with the best of the best. That's something they'll never forget.
Yes, absolutely. So, we do have, obviously, future Olympics, and I feel like we might have some, prospects here at Colorado State that are able to make those Olympic trials. If you were to pick one athlete here at Colorado State that is currently competing in any sport that were to be able to make the Olympic trials in the future, who would you say and why?
I would have to say Gerald Mock, the cross country and track runner. He is so talented. He has won he's been Mountain West player multiple times. He's won the Roy Griak, which is in a very intense cross country meet. He constantly wins track. He's a 2-time All-American. And especially for men runners, going into the Olympics, they need great marathon runners. Galen Rupp was one of the first this year to be a U.S. American to get second for the marathon. I can totally see Gerald Mock taking that place in the next Olympics.
I agree, and we constantly see his name pop up in the news, and just how talented he is. I think that I would agree with that. I think that's a good choice.
Yeah. What about you?
I would say if I had to choose one person, although she's not from America, Ellen Neustrom, I would say she would be the person I would say would go to the Olympic trials. Whether it be for, this country or her home country, I think she's so talented. She's also someone who has won, a Mountain West title. She won Mountain West Player of the Year last year. And she's a senior this year on the women's basketball team, but she's just extremely talented. We constantly see her, in the stats books every single year. She's one of the top players. She was predicted to be one of the top players again this season. So I think that she's extremely talented, and I would not be surprised if I saw her in the Olympic trials.
Yeah, I think I could see her there too. Colorado State's women's basketball team as a whole is extremely talented, and without a doubt, she's the best player on that team. So I could definitely see her going to the Olympics. Well, it's time for another short break, but coming up, we discuss men and women's basketball predictions.
Don't worry, 74 people were picked before me in the NFL draft.
To fight childhood obesity, United Way and the NFL are helping kids play at least 60 minutes a day.
Okay, time for the team obstacle course. Yay!
What this place needs is more healthy kids. To get involved or donate, go to unitedway.org/play60.
Now I get it.
It's finally basketball season, and the Colorado State men's basketball team is hoping to have a successful 2016-17 season. While Colorado State has lost 4 of its 5 starters, including starters Antoine Scott and second-team All-Mountain West selection Joe Decima, the team will return with 2 significant players, both senior guard Gian Clavel and senior forward Emmanuel Mogbo. The redshirt 6'4" guard Clavel is looking to lead the Colorado State team this season. The Puerto Rico native was second team in the Mountain West and 23rd nationally at 20.8 points per game. Mogbo started in 30 of the 34 games that he played and averaged 10.9 points and the team best 8 rebounds per game. Also returning to the floor for the Rams this season is redshirt junior Kamani Jackson and Jeremiah Page and sophomore Prentice Nixon.
The CSU women's basketball team is finally back in action as it saw its first exhibition game of the season this past Friday. The Rams started the season off right and defeated the CSU Pueblo Thunderwolves 56-48 in Moby Arena. Senior guard Ellen Nystrom took to the top, recording 5 rebounds and 4 assists. Junior guard Hannah Taverdi tallied 11 points with 8 rebounds, while senior Elin Gustafsson recorded 6 points. The Rams jumped out to an early 12-3 lead over the Thunderwolves, with Gustafsson scoring on the board. Although the game was close, the Rams never trailed. Up next, Colorado State opens regular season on Friday, November 11th against the Omaha Mavericks. The matchup is set to tip off at 7 p.m. from Moby Arena and officially marks the beginning of preseason play. Carly, I know you're just as excited as I am that basketball has finally officially started. So let's talk a little bit of our predictions entering into this preseason. What do you have looking at the men's side?
Looking at the men's side, much like a lot of other Colorado State teams, it's a young team. Only 2 really leaders on this team, but I think they can help the young players get to where they're going. They've had a consistent coach, and I think they're going to do really well this season. Although they're marked 7th in the Mountain West, I don't think that speaks volumes to the talent that they do have. Mountain West is a hard conference for basketball, so overall I think CSU team is going to do well.
Yeah, I think for men's, it is difficult for them that they did lose some pretty big seniors, Teal Daniels, Antoine Scott, Joe Desmond. Those were all very detrimental to the team. So I think the loss was detrimental to the team. However, we do have, Gene Clavel returning, and he was the leading scorer for the Rams until he got injured last year, and then Antoine Scott took over that position. And then Emmanuel Mogbo, one of our biggest guys, he was always one of the guys that they were looking to. So I think those 2 are going to be 2 of the key players looking at the men's side. What about the women's?
The women's side, they're going to be awesome, like they always are. They haven't really lost any players, and these girls are big, and they're not afraid to feed to their posts. So I think they're going to do really well this season. The women's team's already predicted to be first in the Mountain West. They did it last season with pretty much ease. I think they're going to do that again.
And I think it helps a lot to have Coach Ryan Williams, the captain of the ship there. He's one of the best coaches I've ever seen for women's basketball. And, he came into Colorado State and absolutely turned this program around. He's won so many Mountain West Conference championships under his name. And we have, people like Ellen Nystrom returning, who was Mountain West Player of the Year. And just to have key players like that, I don't think this women's team is going to see too much suffering this season.
And you can definitely tell that the girls on the team are all close. They have great chemistry. This team plays really well together. That is huge for a basketball team. If you don't have good chemistry, you don't know who's going to cut, you don't know where you're going to throw. It's messy out there, but I think the Colorado State women's team is going to do well.
Definitely excited to see where these two teams go. Very excited that basketball season has started. You guys will be hearing a lot of that from us for the next few months, but it looks like that's all the time we have for you guys tonight.
I agree more. Well, that wraps up this week's CTV Sports. Make sure to follow us on Twitter to keep up with the rest of our sports coverage for the week.
Hello, Ram fans. I'm your sports anchor, Tim McGraw. Oh, check that. It's Tim McCall. And here I am with all the latest in the world of Ram sports. The CSU volleyball season is winding down, but it's not too soon to start looking ahead to next season. Yesterday, head coach Tom Hilbert was excited to introduce the incoming freshman class for the 2017 season. 3 of the 4 new members of the Rams family, Maddie Fouts, Jenna Heimeyer, and Anna Dentry, are considered defensive specialists who will help the team from the backcourt. The remaining incoming freshman is 6'4" hitter Ellie Gubser. Gubser will add to the depth that CSU currently has up front, and because of this, she's expected to redshirt during her freshman year next season. However, once Gubser does crack the lineup, expect her exceptional size and skill to translate into big plays on the court for the Rams. In other CSU signing news, Rams women's tennis coach Jared Camerata also announced his first recruiting class since taking the position as women's tennis coach just a few months ago. Camerota was excited to announce that all 3 incoming recruits are 4-star recruits, and they figured to make an impact on this tennis team fairly early in their careers here at CSU. Emma Corwin, Emily Lutenschwager, and Priscilla Palmero were all standouts during their high school careers and are all familiar with each other, having grown up in the upper Midwest, which is the main recruiting area for the CSU tennis team. Palmero was the 2-time Wisconsin state champion for women's singles, and it appears that she will be a big difference maker on the tennis team next season. Although the news of these recruits is exciting, Rams fans will have to curb their enthusiasm for a little longer. The CSU tennis team will begin their current season this January without these 3 recruits, and will look to improve on their 5-15 record from last season. With the news of these 3 recruits and the talents that they possess, there is plenty of optimism surrounding the CSU tennis team. Make sure to follow this CSU tennis team this year in the Collegian to see if they can find success and improve on last year's disappointing season. In CSU basketball news, on Tuesday, the men's basketball team played their final exhibition game before the beginning of the regular season. The game saw a Rams victory at the hands of Regis University. After a slow first half, the Rams only led by 5 points at halftime. However, they came out of the gate fast in the second half, jumping all over Regis and establishing a commanding lead. After dominating the first minutes of the second half, the Rams never looked back, grabbing the victory 75-60. The Rams were led by senior forward Emmanuel Amagbo, who finished with 16 points and was just 1 rebound away from a double-double. Redshirt freshman Nico Carvaco was also a large contributor, posting 9 points and 5 boards. Another exciting sight for CSU fans was that highly anticipated transfer Shea Bob was suited up and in action for this game. Bob, who has been dealing with a wrist injury over the course of the preseason, looks to be healthy and ready to go for the beginning of the season. The Rams will be back in action this Sunday as they kick off their season against New Mexico State at 2 p.m. in Moby Arena. Don't miss out on the start of what looks to be another promising season for CSU men's basketball. In CSU football news, the Rams will look to raise the Ram Falcon Trophy for the 3rd time in the last 4 years as they head to Colorado Springs to take on Air Force this Saturday. The Rams sit at 5-4 on the season, and a win this weekend would be one of the biggest wins of the year thus far for the Rams, as it would officially make them bowl eligible. CSU's offense will face a tall task this weekend, as Air Force currently owns the 19th ranked defense in the country. Quarterback Nick Stevens, in particular, will look to continue the strong season he has had since taking over for Colin Hill. Stevens has thrown for 8 touchdowns and completed just under 60% of his passes. Most important to Stevens' success is the fact that he's only thrown 2 interceptions all season. Turnovers are absolute killers on the offensive end, and Stevens' ability to avoid turnovers has led to his success thus far. Air Force, a team that has caused 14 turnovers on the defensive end this season, will look to disrupt Stevens' rhythm and force him out of his comfort zone. If CSU's offense is able to move the ball into the red zone, expect to see heavy doses of running back Izzy Matthews. Although Matthews does not lead the team in rushing yards, he does lead the Rams in rushing touchdowns with 8. It is clear that Coach Bobo has become comfortable with relying on Matthews over every other running back that he has to pound the ball into the end zone on a consistent basis. If Nick Stevens and Izzy Matthews can continue to lead the offense like they have over the past few weeks, expect CSU to roll this weekend and put themselves into position to make a bowl game this season. Don't miss a very important game for CSU football this weekend at Air Force at 8:15 on ESPNU. That's all we have for sports tonight. But stay tuned because next up, it's Emma Ionicone with entertainment.